everyone. My name is Kalina Spooner, and I would like to welcome everyone to today's first podcast series titled The Paperless Conversation. Every month, VKS will host a little podcast where we will be showcasing different trends, opportunities, and technologies that are being used by the manufacturing industry to transition into Industry 4.0. So before we get into today's hot topic, I would like to welcome our guest, Ed Zimmerman. So welcome, Edward.
Thank you very much for having me today, Kalina. I'm very excited to be here at this first ever podcast of the Paperless Conversation.
Yes, so I thought maybe you could spend a little bit of time introducing yourself. I know that you are the VP of Business Development for the Social Distancer Technologies, as well as a Business Development Manager here at CMP, which is our sister company.
Absolutely.
So yeah, welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. As you said, I'm a VP Business Development for Social Distancer Technologies, as well as being one of the Business Development Managers at CMP Advanced Mechanical Solutions. So we're really keen to talk to you today about how VKS has helped CMP over the years and some of the tools and strategies that we've developed as a manufacturer to help us get through the COVID pandemic up until now at least.
Awesome. Yeah, I know that's what a lot of our viewers hopefully are tuning into today. So again, before we kind of dive into today's hot topic, I thought I might spend a little bit of time just introducing to some of our viewers for the first time, essentially who VKS is, where we came from, and what we're trying to do today.
Sounds great.
All right, so like I said, just quickly, VKS essentially is a digital work instruction software platform that was actually built out of CMP here. Mm-hmm. And what we're looking to do is help manufacturers, one, transition from paper to a digital format, whether that's implementing videos, pictures, even tech steps, and to have your operators have a much more visual understanding of their day-to-day assembly work, rather than having the binder and the floating binder and having to print and reprint. So throughout the years, VKS has evolved, as has the manufacturing industry. Now with VKS, we have the ability to add in smart forms and smart tools, which will allow you to be able to capture data, be able to then have that in a report setting so management can look through it. And our latest one is now with our API, we're able to communicate with other databases, which is pretty cool. You can communicate with your ERP, you can even start to communicate with different tools, torque wrenches, test benches. So VKS has done a really, really good job at evolving, not only from, CMP, but now we are global, we are worldwide. We have over 350 companies that are using it for different reasons. It's in different industries right now. We work closely with automotive, manufacturing. We're now entering the food and beverage, aerospace division. So that in and of itself is what VKS does. We're really just trying to help manufacturers get away from paper and be able to have your standard best practices stored and archived in a software. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's VKS. So thank you for bearing with me for a couple of minutes discussing that. So I thought, Ed, you could take a little bit of time now, if you don't mind, talking about the creation of VKS, since it stemmed from CMP.
Absolutely, I'd be pleased to.
Awesome.
So as you mentioned, CMP Advanced Mechanical Solutions, we are the sister company to VKS, and we developed this software over the last decade or so to solve a lot of the problems that we have as a manufacturer here in North America. CMP, for those that don't know us, we are a high-mix, low-volume contract manufacturer, largely specialized on mechanical systems, but also doing complex electromechanicals as well. We serve a variety of industries. We're in medical, transportation, homeland security, defense, and increasingly in warehouse automation as well, which is growing into an absolutely enormous industry. So the reason we needed a solution like VKS is because of what I alluded to earlier, high mix, low volume. We have dozens of clients, we have dozens of different programs, hundreds and thousands of different parts. Very, very difficult in a dynamic workplace like ours to effectively manage all of the tribal information and key critical data that each client needs for every one of their products. And so when we saw that paper-based routings and paper-based drawing packages were insufficient to that task, we elected to develop a digital solution that would allow us to transmit huge volumes of information to our employees. But in addition to that, capture a lot of information back. Many of our clients require us to do inspection steps or serialization or any one of a number of different processes that would require an operator to put information back into the system so that it can be captured and shared with our end client. VKS allows us to do that. And so we leverage that at every step of our manufacturing process. You will not find a workstation at CMP that does not have a VKS system installed. And it makes the lives of the operators easier, program managers, operations managers. Everybody has access to huge amounts of data at their fingertips so that they can track the performance of a program, any recurring quality issues on a program, and also be able to share a lot of the information directly with our clients so that we can work with them on optimizations. And that really is to everybody's benefit. So VKS certainly for CMP has been a world-changing exercise, and has really allowed us to keep pace with growth in our market. CMP is growing at a remarkable rate compared to a lot of manufacturers in North America. And without VKS, that kind of growth and that kind of adaptability to our client needs would be very difficult to achieve.
Yeah. Oh, big time. So just quickly, on that topic of adaptability and kind of just being able to maneuver with what's going on right now in the world and stuff like that, I thought you could take a little bit of time as well to kind of talk about how CMP is dealing with COVID.
Right.
Because as everyone knows, that is not only today's hot topic on the podcast, but I think the hot topic that is just globally going around manufacturers, offices, schools everywhere. How are manufacturing companies and how are companies in general adapting their work environments to promote safety for their employees and being able to still produce what needs to be produced?
Absolutely. CMP, we're not unique necessarily in our manufacturing, in the manufacturing environment here in North America. Companies all across the continent, really around the world, have had to change the way that they do business in order to accommodate the additional restrictions imposed by the pandemic. First and foremost, our concern, of course, is the safety and welfare of our employees. And so we right away started taking measures such as social distancing, introducing additional PPE, shift changes so that we don't have congregations of people within the facility at specific times of the day. So, as much as possible, we tried to manage things in that way. And certainly it was very helpful. CMP had to remain open through the duration because of the critical services that we provide to a lot of different industries, chief amongst them being the medical industry.
Yeah, the medical is a big one.
And warehouse automation. Now, we know also that a lot of our clients have suffered, as the clients of many viewers have suffered as well. And in general, the business environment has become a lot more complicated. So, what we're trying to do right now at CMP is, keep our staff safe, keep our, critical core customers satisfied, and keep them, well supplied with materials so that they in turn can go on to support the broader economy, either in warehouse automation, homeland security, or medical, even transportation. It's a critical service. It needs to be provided. So beyond the more traditional PPE type approaches, we wanted to find a way to reduce workplace anxiety, because workplace anxiety is a major consideration. A lot of employees are very uncomfortable coming into work when they know that an illness like this is being transmitted within the community. So one of the things that we wanted to do was find a way to provide a measure of confidence to employees that they were in good hands, that they could maintain appropriate social distancing, that if somebody got sick, we would be able to very quickly as an organization react and advise that people need to be advised, get people tested, and as much as possible limit the spread of anything like that within our workplace. Now, we've been very fortunate. We have not had any kind of spread of COVID within our environment, but for a lot of companies, that's not the case.
Yeah, that's not the case, exactly.
They've been forced to shut down, and there's impact to their clients, impact to their revenue, impact to their employees who aren't taking home a paycheck as anticipated. So we turned to the market. We tried to find a solution, a technology solution that we could employ to help us manage those challenges. And the unfortunate reality was it simply did not exist. And so, in working with two of our partners, ProMark Electronics, which is a Montreal area contract manufacturer dealing more on cable assemblies and box build, and Visual Assets, which is a technology company based out of New Hampshire, we developed our ProxySure solution, which is a wearable device that's exceptionally easy to use, doesn't require any additional infrastructure. And what it will do is it will advise wearers when they're closer than the 6-foot social distancing requested by health authorities. So it'll buzz, it will sound an alarm tone, it'll flash a red light, and it'll let you know that you've approach the colleague too closely and to take a step back in order to maintain social distancing. In addition to that, the device captures contact tracing data. And so it's going to be recording the date, the time, the duration, and the frequency and distance of those interactions so that we can create what we call a dosage profile. And that's going to allow people, if someone should fall ill within the workplace, to very, very quickly hone in on those individuals that are at high risk and advise them either to get tested, go into quarantine, and also you can take that data and now share it with public health authorities, because it's really, really important for public health authorities to have access to this information. One of the things that's really great about our solution is that it's not relying on ultra-wideband or Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. All of those technologies, unfortunately, are subject to a lot of interference. Especially in a complex manufacturing environment where there's a lot of machinery, heavy equipment.
The connections can get lost easily.
Exactly. Things will bounce around, they're going to reflect off the walls, and they're not going to be able to go through people. And so the reliability of those systems is highly suspect, and the data that they generate as well is unreliable.
Okay.
And so we're using a technology called Ruby. It is magnetic based. It operates at an exceptionally low frequency. And that allows us to avoid a lot of those problems that higher frequency solutions are subject to. And so our solution will work through a table, it'll work through a 20-ton fabricator, it'll work through doors, walls, it even works underwater. And so we're able to offer our clients 99.9% read accuracy regardless of the environment that they're working in. And that means that all those false positives and false negatives that you're getting from other systems that are now in the market are all avoided. And the quality of the data that you're able to generate for contact tracing is exceptionally reliable. And the interaction of units that inform people when they're getting too close to one another is equally reliable. And so people will very quickly, over the course of a few days, get a better understanding of what 6 feet really means. And their behaviors naturally will adapt. We're human beings.
Yeah.
When we're in conversation, we want to get closer to one another. We want to close that distance. It's our natural inclination. That's a very big challenge in a social distancing context like we see right now in the pandemic to manage. And so this device will nudge you a little bit with a buzz or a beep or a flashing light to let you know what 6 feet really is. And we've seen that a lot of people very, very quickly begin to adopt an appropriate distance when they're interacting with colleagues quite naturally. And so it's very powerful in that respect.
Yeah, it sounds like an amazing tool that not only can be used on the shop floor and in a manufacturing setting, but it could also be applied, in my opinion, to offices, workspaces, the educational systems to make sure that everyone's keeping their distance. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're seeing interest from a lot of different industries. Obviously, manufacturing, the defense sector is very concerned with the impact of social distancing on their ability to maintain their operational capacity. Food and beverage, obviously, early on in the pandemic, a lot of food and beverage manufacturers were heavily impacted. So we're getting a lot of interest from that sector. Education as well. The very last thing we want to do is shut down schools. If we can give schools the ability to help their students and staff not just maintain appropriate social distancing, but also in the event of an infection, very quickly track it down and mitigate the potential impacts, all of those things.
And not only mitigate the impact, but the spread of it. If you could narrow down which classroom or which office this came from, you notify that group that weren't necessarily there, and then boom, you can continue on and make sure that they take the appropriate measures to quarantine and to stay safe and help not spread the outbreak.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And so we're working very closely with a number of manufacturers, food and beverage manufacturers, education institutions, and the feedback right up until now has been overwhelmingly positive. And so we're really excited it's already on the market, but we're really excited to be able to broaden our scope and bring it to more and more users.
This is an amazing product. So I was wondering if we could take a little bit of time and actually show our viewers how it looks, and how it works.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, awesome.
So let's put on our masks.
Yes, it's mask time.
Very important that we are using appropriate PPE. So let's put those masks on. So I have a couple of things to show you today. So I have our second generation unit. We'll get into that in a minute. But essentially we sell the units in boxes of 10.
Okay.
And I'm just going to open this up very quickly here, and we'll take 2 of them out.
Ooh, we get the packaged ones to test. Amazing. Thank you very much.
So you can go ahead and open that up. There's a charge cable in there. Each unit comes with its own charge cable. They're USB charged. and you're going to use that same cable to download any kind of contact tracing data in the event that you need to exercise that capability.
Oh, mine's on.
There you go. Are you up and running?
I'm up and running, sir.
Okay, perfect. So, as am I. So, very simple. A little belt clip on the back right here. And we're just going to pop it onto our belt. Very easy to carry. Now, once again, there's no infrastructure associated with these units. So, we're not talking about antennas or portals or repeaters or any kind of IT involvement. Take it out of the box, turn it on, put it on your belt, and we're good to go. So, our viewers, hopefully you can see I'm wearing on my belt. Oh, Helena.
Yeah, we're too close. Sorry, sir.
You're getting all up in my space right now.
I know. I'll back it up.
There you go. So the devices are really easy to use. Basically, what it's doing is continuously transmitting that low frequency magnetic signal 10 times a second. And each device is always listening for the sound, the signal from devices around it. And so you and I are having a conversation right now. We can see that we're,
I got too close.
We're no longer in compliance. So it's really accurate. Over this distance, we're accurate to within about 3 inches. So even just rotating my hips like that, we'll see that we're getting great accuracy and we're getting advised that we need to maintain our distance. And what this device is simultaneously doing is tracking all that critical data that I mentioned. So, your device identity, my device identity,
how long they were,
how long we've been interacting. And so if over the course of the day you and I should pass each other in the hallway a couple of times and maybe accumulate 10 or 15 seconds of proximity, we're going to record that, but we also know that that amount of proximity is not especially important. And so, it'll be highlighted, it'll be recorded, but we're not going to necessarily take any actions. Now, let's say, for example, that you and I were working collaboratively at a workstation, and we were 15, 20, 30 minutes in very close proximity. That right away is a sign that if one of us is sick, the other needs to be advised, tested, potentially quarantined. And so, this device gives organizations that capability right out of the box and allows them to manage that aspect of this very complicated situation within their workforce.
Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just out of curiosity quickly, was VKS at all involved in the actual operations and assembly of the product?
Absolutely. So we developed this, as I said, with our partners. So the device is very much a cross-border collaboration. We have people in Canada, CMP and ProMark, people in the United States, Visible Assets, that are working on developing this solution, both this generation as well as the future generation that I'll show you shortly. The manufacturing is divided almost equally between Canada and the US. So we've got components that are being made in New Hampshire,
and then
assembly that's occurring here in Canada. Very collaborative, very international. Both of our countries are suffering through this pandemic together, and working collaboratively in this way, I think, is a great example of how that kind of, collective approach can be very, very helpful in helping to solve a real problem.
Well, and at the end of the day, it's very nice to see a North American product that is made here, that is grown here, and that is sold here.
Absolutely, and because we're doing the final assembly here at CMP, we are using VKS to assemble these units. And that's one of the great strengths of VKS, is we're able to take a brand new product, a brand new solution for which there is very little in the form of assembly information or critical data, and we're able to use VKS to effect serialization. We're able to use VKS to guide employees through the assembly process, perform tuning on the antennas, programming of the units. All of that can be done within VKS, and beyond that, we can use VKS to capture critical data from the operators who need to capture some of that information from the units as they're going together. And we can generate reports, and we can share these things internally, share them with our suppliers, so that we can optimize the manufacturing process, optimize our output, optimize our quality on a day-by-day basis. And it's a very, very powerful tool.
Well, I'm glad VKS was able to be part of this beautiful product that you were able to show us today.
Thank you very much. We were thrilled to have VKS at our disposal in order to do that. So just give me the box back.
Give me the box back.
I'll repackage these later. I gotta ship them out later today. So
perfect.
We'll disinfect them and then send them on their merry way. Now, one of the things that I also alluded to is our second generation.
Yes.
I'll show those to you very quickly.
This one's fancy.
So it's smaller. It's about 1/3 the size of the original unit. It's got a louder speaker. It's got a stronger vibration, because instead of carrying this necessarily on your belt, we wanted to give people more flexibility in how they're using the unit. So it can be carried on a lanyard, it can be carried on a little, spring-loaded belt clip like we have here. You can clip it onto your belt, you can wear it on your arm, on an armband. So there's a lot of different ways that this unit can be used. And these units, the second generation, they continue to interact with the generation 1. So if you have generation 1, you can transition to generation 2. And they offer all the same contact tracing capabilities that we have in the current solution, but in a smaller form factor, with some improvements to the alarm modes. And this was really developed in response to a lot of the data that we have from our clients from using the current solution. So, as you can see,
I think you're too close to the one in the box.
You know what? Go in the box. There you go. So let's take a step over here. There you go. I'm a little bit too close to that one. No, I don't think I'm too close to you.
No, but this is awesome.
Good. So this unit is going to be our second generation, as I mentioned.
Okay.
This is going to be deployed much more broadly. And it's more portable. It's driven by a lot of the feedback from our clients. We're really excited to bring this to market. It's not the final form factor. This is more of a test article. But they work exceptionally well. They have the same level of accuracy. We're collecting all the same data. And we're going to have this second generation available for shipment around the end of the month of November.
Awesome.
So we're really, really excited.
Well, thank you so much for having showcased that and being able to show the different models and the different way that they work and the different functionalities that they have. And just out of curiosity, have you gotten any feedback from operators who are not even just operators, but from office representatives or anyone who is actually wearing this? What's the vibe that you're getting?
We've had a lot of feedback.
Okay.
All very positive. People are thrilled with the performance of the units. They're very, very reliable. One of the biggest things that we've encountered in the feedback is people realizing just how many close interactions they're having.
Yeah, I didn't realize what 6 feet was until you actually were able to stand there and say like, oh, you're actually too close. When in your mind, you think 6 feet is what 6 feet is in your head.
Well, that's it. And so people are surprised at what 6 feet really means and how often throughout the day they're impeding on that distance. We've done surveys before and after. And so beforehand, people might have said, 4 or 5 times, during the course of the day. And then when we collect the data from the units, what we realize is actually 25 or 30 times a day.
Oh, wow.
Right? That's a huge, huge variance. And it's eye-opening. It's eye-opening to a lot of users. And they see right away just how applicable it can be because they failed to realize, not out of a lack of analysis, but without having the appropriate tools to really record how many interactions are occurring, we're subject to our own interpretation and we're not necessarily paying attention to what's going around us all the time during the course of the day. And so having a tool like this that can just give you that nudge, give you that reminder, and then simultaneously provide you with the knowledge that you are capturing critical contact tracing data in the event of an issue, very, very powerful.
Awesome. And with respect to that, do you have something on the machine or on the device itself? I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I know that a lot of operators, sometimes there's no two ways about it. You have to be working together in much more close proximity than the 6 feet, which you're supposed to not be in. You're not supposed to work super, super close together. What happens if, for example, an operator or in an office, unfortunately, you have to be in close proximity? Is there a way to mute the device while still record the fact that they've been in contact? Because I could see that if it's buzzing for 30 minutes, you'd want to lose your mind a little bit. But
absolutely. So we can snooze the devices for up to 5
awesome.
minutes. They will reactivate after that time. We don't want people to forget to turn them back on. We can also, we have a user interface wherein you can control certain aspects of performance. So you can turn down the volume, turn down the vibration strength, reduce the strength of the LED brightness, and also change the interacting distance. So if guidelines should change and to reduce it to 3 or 4 feet, you can do that. If you want to increase it to 7 or 8 feet, you can do that as well. And so we're offering our clients a lot of adaptability
and flexibility. Awesome.
Flexibility specific for their workplace. And so some clients, they really want to have that strong vibration and that strong tone because their operators are wearing hearing protection or, heavy clothing, things like that. Other operators in an office context really want to dial that all back. What we want to do mostly is capture the contact tracing data and not be overly disruptive to our staff during the course of their workday. And so the UI that we have to adjust those alarm modes allows them to achieve that.
Awesome. Well, I really, really want to thank you for coming on today. I think it's an awesome product. It's a North American product. It's been a huge, huge, huge help here at CMP. I know we've started to integrate it upstairs also in the offices. And I think that as long as COVID is around, and I believe that we're just going to have to learn to adapt with this pandemic and just learn to keep our distance, that this is just going to be a product that's going to be everywhere soon. So thank you so much for coming on today's podcast. I'm so happy to have had you as my first guest, and I hope maybe you'll be on another one sometime soon.
I would love that. Thank you so much, Kalina. It's been great being here today and having the opportunity to talk not just about our social distancer, but also VKS and its genesis within CMP. And really excited to see more of these podcasts going forward.
Yes, well, thank you so much. So if anyone is interested in learning a little bit more about the social distancer technologies, specifically the ProxySure, you can always visit the website. Let me just make sure that I'm saying it correctly. It's gosocialdistancer.com.
Yep.
You can always ask for Ed. You could find him on LinkedIn as well.
Absolutely.
Go harass him on LinkedIn. And if anyone would like to learn a little bit more about VKS, perhaps it's a demo or a trial, or just get on the phone and get a little bit more about our product, you can always visit VKS at www.vksapp.com. So everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Our next series will be in about a month. Not sure what the topic will be. Hopefully we'll have COVID underway. Probably not, but here's hoping.
There you go.
So everyone continue to stay safe, and see you next time.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.